Hi, everybody. Welcome to another short video where Queerful's talking to different charities and causes. And today I am here with Donnie Roberts, who is the Senior Director of Development and Communications at Callen, Lorde, as well as Finn Brigham, who is the Director of Project Management at Callen, Lorde. So let's just kick it off. Tell us about Callen, Lorde and how Callen, Lorde got started.
Sure, I'll get us going, and Finn, you add to this. Callen, Lorde is an incredible community health center that takes care of LGBTQ folks in New York City in a variety of locations around town. In addition to the direct care that we provide, Callen, Lorde also sort of impacts LGBTQ health everywhere. And so we do a lot of trainings, we share a lot of things that we learn, and it's really incredible to sort of increase the body of knowledge about LGBT health. Our history goes back to 1969, to the Stonewall era, to an organization that was then called St. Mark's Community Clinic, which was started by some volunteer doctors who realized that LGBTQ people weren't getting what they needed from the mainstream healthcare environment. And so they took it upon themselves to create a clinic that took care of us. That story is long and winded. These volunteer providers merged with another group of gay male providers who were meeting in a basement on the West Village, mostly providing sexual health services to our community, again, for the same reasons. And over time, a variety of community-based volunteer organizations merged to become Community Health Project, which is our formal name and legal name still today. And in 1983, sort of squatted in what is now today's LGBTQ Center here in New York. 15 years later, fast forward this, we needed to be part of the more mainstream healthcare environment and became a federally qualified health center and opened up a clinical site in Chelsea, which is still our flagship today, in 1998. And so for the next 25 years, we've grown to expand our services across New York City. And again, that impact of the direct care that we provide in New York affects LGBTQ healthcare across the state of New York, across the country, and also internationally. We have a lot of impacts in those places too. Ben, am I missing anything?
No, you nailed it. That was perfect.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot about Callen, Lorde. I've been a client of Callen, Lorde. Well, actually, since it started, not since 1969. We're not that old yet, but I remember going to Community Health Project when it was at Sheridan Square College, and then I remember it moving to the LGBT Center on 13th Street, and I've been a client ever since. And I have to say, whenever I think of Callen, Lorde, I get the warm and fuzzies, because it's just such a wonderful institution where anybody can go and you're going to get the service that you need, and you're going to get the love and the warmth that you deserve as an LGBTQ person. And the services there are remarkable. The people there are remarkable. You guys have done so much for the community over the years. And personally, I'm thankful for it. And anybody that I speak to about Callen, Lorde pretty much has the same sentiment. They just feel welcome, loved, and comfortable there. So, how did you both get involved with Callen, Lorde?
Yeah, I can chat. So I moved to New York many years ago and sort of was getting the landscape of LGBT work. I've been in LGBT health for pretty much my entire career. So it was always on my radar. And I started there doing care coordination, so like case management work, and then worked my way up to the director of care coordination, and then transitioned to this more sort of administrative space. But everyone knows about Callen, Lorde. I think we're considered the gold standard. We try to keep that. We take that very seriously. So I just working in LGBT health in other states, I was always aware of it. And when I moved to New York, it was like where I wanted to be.
It's wonderful. And you, Donnie?
My story is similar but different. So I moved to New York after college and was doing nonprofit work and sort of figuring out how to navigate the world in the space. And I didn't have a lot of money and I didn't have a lot of resources. But what I did need was a doctor, particularly around sexual health and being a young person coming up in New York. And somehow, I don't even remember exactly, I found my way to Callen Lorde and experienced firsthand the kind of affirming care that Callen Lorde could provide. This was 2000 or 2001. The world has grown. We've done a lot of good work, and that's been really helpful. But that back then, there was still, you would walk into a doctor's and people make a lot of assumptions about you. And one of the things that was really true for me about Callen Lorde, and I think is still true today, is we don't do that. We might sort of like, you can talk about your experiences. You can sort of bring your full self into the exam room without fear of, that you might get judged for the way that you live, your identities, your experiences, and Callen Lorde has been incredible for our communities in that way. And for a lot of us, if you're approaching a medical provider for some inherent need, whether that's testing or primary care or any kinds of other things, being able to know that that Callen Lorde is going to understand your experience and listen to you and hear you out. I think that's really impactful. And so I started as a patient. I was a patient for several years. I've been doing nonprofit work for most of my adult career. And in 2014, I had an opportunity to join the staff. And ever since, I've been really thrilled and honored to get to do this work for a living. And what's amazing about my work is I get to sort of talk to people about this impact and invite people to join us in supporting that mission. And so it's been really incredible to get to work for an organization that I'm so respectful of and has been so important to me, and I know for so many in our communities.
Absolutely. And you guys have really grown tremendously over the years. I know there was a time where the location on 18th Street in Manhattan was, they were having a hard time keeping up and being able to take more people in because they were serving so many people. And you guys have expanded now to the Bronx and to Brooklyn. And now there's the Thea Aspire Center, which is actually right next door to my apartment,
right?
Which is great. And so as let's say someone is just for the first time wanting to, explore being a client at Callen Lorde. What's the criteria? How does someone go about doing that?
Yeah, I think I can obviously don't need add anything, but we are accepting new patients. There is our website. The main phone number is 212-271-7200. If folks wanted to get involved, and just to highlight a little bit of the services that we provide, if folks are not super clear, the majority of it is primary care, which includes sexual health, HIV care, transgender health care. But we also have gynecology services. We also have dental. We have a very robust behavioral health, mental health program that you referenced. We have a youth program. So we start seeing folks as early as 13, but they're in a youth program. It sort of depends, but until usually their early 20s. And so you're absolutely right. We've grown a lot now, having these different clinical sites, so folks can, almost every borough we're in, they can get care close to home. And our telehealth services have really expanded over COVID, as a lot of folks have. So, telehealth for behavioral health, for therapy, as well as primary care. We can do more and more through telehealth, which I think folks really like and have responded to. And, this is a different podcast we could talk about, but how fast telehealth has moved forward as an industry because of the pandemic. But I think it's wonderful to make it more accessible. So folks can go to the website or call the number if they're interested in becoming a patient.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I'm going to add one thing to that, if you don't mind. So Callen Lorde also provides all of our services regardless of somebody's insurance status or ability to pay. And so for a lot of folks who might feel like you can't go to see a provider because you don't have insurance and you're afraid you're going to get some crazy bill that you can't pay, Callen Lorde is actually a part of our mission is to ensure that people have access to that care. And so, again, if you have insurance, we accept it. There's a certain kinds that we take, of course. We also help people get access to insurance through some of the public programs that are available here in New York State. And so there's a lot of ways to get in and to access that care. So I wanted to sort of make sure that we mentioned that, because I know sometimes people are like, oh, I can't do it because I don't have insurance. And actually you can come to Callen Lorde, and that website, our social media, I will also say, is another great way to, like, if you're not in New York, but you're interested in LGBTQ health, or you want to think about some strategies or conversations you want to have with your provider somewhere else, there's a lot of resources on our website, including resources around transgender health, HIV health, and many other things. And so you can also find a bunch of things that might help you have different kinds of conversations with your provider if you're not here in New York.
Great. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was, I know there's a lot of fundraisers and socials and activities that Callen Lorde does throughout the year. I know you do the zoo, the outing at the zoo every year, which is wonderful. Can you tell us a little bit more about some of those activities and how the community can get involved, or what would Callen Lorde, what can Callen Lorde use from the community at large?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So I mentioned that our mission allows us to provide care to people regardless of ability to pay. And how we do that is through marshaling resources and fundraising. And so you're right, Robert, we have a bunch of events that take place in and around New York City. We do an event in Fire Island, we do an event in the Hamptons with a partner organization. But we also do some events that are virtual. And so we do this new event. It's not that new, given that it's 8 years in now, but we do an event called Rainbow Run, which is a 5K, 10K fun run or walk, which people can do and raise money in support of the mission of Callen Lorde. And so that's something that we're really proud of and really excited about. And usually that takes place in the spring. The in-person option is in Manhattan, but folks can participate from anywhere. And there's always information about that event and other events on our website. We also partner, individuals are very generous and support our mission. I think people see, especially a lot of folks who've been our clients over time, have evolved and their lives have changed and their circumstances have changed. And a lot of people remember how important it was to get the care that they got at Callen Lorde. And so a lot of folks make investments to make sure that that's available for the next generation, which feels really amazing. We work with individual supporters. We work with foundations who support particular programs. Finn mentioned the youth program, which is our acronym for that is Health Outreach to Teens, or HOT. And we get a lot of private support for that program. Those services are provided for free, which is different, so regardless of ability to pay. And so all of the services that we provide in the youth program are for free. And again, a lot of that is underwritten by the support we receive from our community. So individuals, foundations, companies, local businesses, all find different ways to support us. And reaching out through our website can help connect folks who are interested in supporting the mission with somebody from me or my team to talk about ways to potentially help us out.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit more about, if you live in New York, you've probably seen the HOT mobile unit. Can you tell us a little bit about that and your outreach with HOT?
Yeah, Finn, you want to talk about HOT, or you want me to talk about the mobile unit?
I can do my little, and you can augment. The mobile unit has been a really important part of our care. I think specifically for LGBT youth, they're maybe not likely to walk through our doors, call us, find us out. I mean, I'm sure we all remember being 16, 17. The thought of calling a doctor's office was very overwhelming. So we can use this van to go to where they are, right? Whether it is folks that are facing homelessness, or we go to the balls that happen, right? We can just park right outside, and folks can just pop out and come in and get an HIV test, get the beginning of primary care. And I think what's so wonderful about it is they hopefully have this great experience, realize how easy it is, and then they will come to our agency. They've met somebody already, they feel connected to, they feel safe, they had a good experience. So it's a good way for folks that might not be able to just call us or walk in the door, for us to reach them where they're at, again, have this good experience, and then get them into care. So we go to a lot of events, pride events, wherever we can find folks that might struggle to seek us out on their own. It's been really helpful tool. I don't know if there's more you want to say, Donnie.
Oh, I would just also add, I think you said all the things, except the only thing I would add is that the mobile unit also partners with other youth serving organizations. So you talked about some of the events and other things that happen. And so also they park outside of other organizations that are serving young people. And so it's just another way for programs that serve young people to be able to help introduce those young people into our care. And again, the care that young people get in the HOT program is life-saving in so many ways. And for folks who feel like they don't have the ability to access healthcare to take care of themselves, it's really an important program. And so it's nice that we have incredible partners who are already serving young people that can also help build that bridge into Callen Lorde, maybe through the medical unit, which might be parked right outside of the door of whatever program or service that they're involved with.
Wonderful. So I want to switch gears for a quick moment and ask you, so why do you feel Queerful is so important right now for our community?
can start. I think there's wonderful, exciting things happening in the LGBT world that we all sort of want to be a part of. More and more representation in the media, in the political landscape. We've obviously made huge strides when you think about things like marriage equality, adoption rights. Like there's ways we've made really great strides, and naturally with that comes a backlash, and we're seeing a lot of, unfortunately, violence specifically targeted towards trans people. A lot of laws coming about that are, obviously we're in the healthcare landscape, and so we're very concerned about the laws being passed that are making trans youth unable to access healthcare and even potentially making their parents or guardians, doing illegal things by taking them to see these doctors. So I think to have one space that you can go to learn about all the wonderful things and all the sort of things that are threatening our community, so that we can come together and sort of celebrate the joys and combat the barriers together at the same time. I think it's really exciting because it can be really overwhelming to pick apart the little pieces of queer news here and there from the other outlets. So to have one place that we can go to really think about all of the wonderful and the difficult things that are happening, I think is really exciting, especially right now.
Oh, thank you.
I would add connection. Our community is so strong because we find each other. And I feel like when, a platform like Queerful brings folks together to sort of create space, to share interest, to build support in our communities, it also supports power for LGBTQ folks and some of the work that we still need to do. I know a lot of folks say, we've come so far since Stonewall, or we've come so far since whatever, but there's still so much more work to do. I mean, we're seeing these pushbacks, as Finn mentioned, happening across the country around the progress that we in our community have made. And that's exhausting. And sometimes what we need is to find other people who are in the struggle together and to make connection. And I think creating spaces for people to get to do that, no matter if you're living next door or you live across the country or across the world, it's really incredible to find folks and to build your own version of community, whatever that looks like.
Oh, thanks. I couldn't have said it better myself. So before we go, I kind of wanted to get an understanding, what's on the forefront for Callen Lorde and for LGBTQ plus health going forward?
Yeah, on the ground, I mean, there's some exciting stuff happening here in New York. We are partnering with some other organizations that are LGBTQ serving that are not Callen Lorde, and bringing some of our services to their sites. And so just last year, we opened a small behavioral health clinic at the home of Brooklyn Community Pride Center. It's something we're really thrilled about. It's a long-term, important relationship for us as an organization where, again, we're able to provide mental health services or behavioral health services to the clients who are already seeing and involved with Brooklyn Community Pride Center. That's the first of what we hope will be many other kinds of partnerships like this. And so we're excited to get to continue to make that impact. And for us, we don't need to create our own spaces alone, and we're really grateful for the spaces that we have. But if partner organizations have identified a need that Callen Lorde can help serve, that's something that's super exciting to us. It also helps us to just sort of bring those services out and expand the impact that's happening.
Yeah. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would add a couple of things. I think, we're lucky in New York that, there is a fair amount of LGBT resources. And I think Callen Lorde at this point is big enough to even say, even more so than LGBT health, what factions of the queer community need additional support, even separate from just being queer identified, right? So we're focusing right now, we have a sex worker health program that's been really successful, really exciting for folks that do sex work, regardless of whether they're LGBT, getting that competent health care that we already do. We're focusing more on the aging community. A lot of folks are saying that they feel like as they get older, Callen Lorde is sort of geared towards young folks, and they don't want to have to make the terrible decision of, do I get a provider who's really knowledgeable about elder care versus a provider that's really knowledgeable about LGBT care? So we're really trying to be thoughtful about making sure that we're both of those things. We just got a grant to focus on folks that use meth. So again, to sort of double down on those services, make sure that we're doing right there. And we're also doing a lot of more and more training of providers. So we have a fellowship program. We're starting a medical residency program because, again, even though there's some resources in New York, still not enough. But, what about Ohio? What about Kansas? It's super hard to get LGBT competent providers there. So we're hoping to train those folks that maybe will move to other states, and so that they can be those providers that have like really good training going out in the world. So that's sort of what we're doing internally.
That is absolutely wonderful. I mean, you guys do such incredible work. And like I said earlier, I've been privy to being recipient of so much of that. And it keeps growing, and you guys have been just wonderful. And I'm so excited to see what happens in the future. Queerful's here for you. I'm here for you. And I'm just so thankful that we had this time to chat today. So thank you so much for joining us. And for anybody who wants to learn more about Callen Lorde, just go to callenlorde.org. It's CALLEN-LORDE.org. And you can learn much more about them there than you did here, even though this was a lot. So thank you both.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. This was fun.